Of course, the lockdown is ensuring that I'm absolutely at home in the last month, and in fact, in the next 2 or 3 months, I've had about 14 concerts cancelled in 6 countries, and every month I'm used to being in at least 3 or 4 different countries doing concerts, and so it's taking a lot to get used to this new lifestyle of actually being at home, and I am getting used to it, and I'm actually quite loving it. And so if there's any new recreational activities that I'm doing with my family, the answer is no, it's nothing new. It's most of the time I'm in the studio, so I'm quite absent for them even now. But I am doing my best to eat dinner with my parents as often as possible. And also, I guess, yeah, I'm just making a whole lot of new music, but that is not a recreational activity with my family. Said lots of my concerts had gotten cancelled, and in fact April 22nd, that is Earth Day, is a very important day for me, even though it is said that every single day has to be an Earth Day, and I absolutely agree with that. But it's always nice to have this one particular day where you can celebrate, keeping everything off your mind. You can just celebrate the one thing that you absolutely love, and for me it is the environment and nature. So on April 22nd, I try my best to perform every year and do a concert about which is very, very wholesomely about our planet and about the natural world every year. And this year I was supposed to perform in Washington DC, and that concert got cancelled. So I decided that okay, let's do a virtual concert, an online concert. And also I realized that if you're doing an online concert, it really does not matter which country your performers are from, that is your collaborators are from, because since it's an online concert, it does not matter if you've got a performer from Bangalore who is like 2 or 3 houses down the road from me, or or a performer who is from Senegal or from South Africa or from New York. So that is why I ended up showcasing the whole world as our musical playground, and we had 44 musicians from 6 different countries. And the concert, that is Ricky Kej at One Page Spotlight, was conceptualized in this particular way. And I'm really happy that it was very, very well received, in the sense that we had a proper national broadcast that broadcasters broadcasted in over 70 countries worldwide, and the messages are still pouring in. We managed to reach a count of 90 million viewers all over the world. Music industry has always evolved over the last many decades. Because musicians are very creative people, so they're not only creative in making the music, but they are also very creative in figuring out how to reach their audiences and how to disseminate their music to audiences. Like for example, in India, we started off by having baitaks, where people would come out from far off places to go to musicians' houses and sit down and listen to music, and that's how musicians would monetize their careers and make their careers more sustainable. And then later on it became LPs, and we were making albums which were not we as in me, but my seniors. We as musicians were making albums which were 18 minutes long or 36 minutes long, so that it could fit into an LP, like a side A and a side B of an LP. And then later on it became cassette tapes, and we were trying to fill up cassette tapes. Then albums became 90 minutes long, because you could fill up 45 minutes on either side of a cassette tape. And then later on it became CDs. So we started recording in high definition, and everything evolved, including our recording setups, our studios, and it was a huge milestone in the music industry. And then later on it became selling MP3s. Then later on it became everything became streaming, and when everything became streaming, we could not make money by selling our music like we used to during the past few decades. Then it became using the streaming platforms for gaining popularity, so that we would make money through our live shows. And then now the thing about going in front of audiences for live shows because of the COVID pandemic has become a thing of the past. So now we are evolving into live concerts, and right now it's very confusing times as to how to monetize these live concerts, or how to make our careers more sustainable. How do musicians make money off these virtual live concerts? But I'm sure that in the coming time, we are definitely going to evolve to understanding how we can use this to our advantage. technology is going to have to improve drastically, because right now there is no proper technology for musicians from different parts of the world to actually perform together as a band right now. So the only way for us to do it right now is to do pre-recorded concerts or to do deferred live concerts, like what I did on April 22nd, a few days ago. Also, I think concerts will have to move more in towards the virtual reality space, so that we can have a captive audience, and that the audience also will feel that, that they are in an immersed medium of a concert, and they can feel like they're having a community based viewing experience. So I think that needs to evolve. And also there is another problem with virtual concerts, because virtual concerts go out to the whole world. And let's say like last year in 2019, in August it was that, I did this whole tour where I had these 10 songs, and I performed the 10 songs in Helsinki in Finland. And then after that, I performed the songs in Stockholm in Sweden. Then after that, I performed, and all of this is in the month of August. Then after that, I went to New York and performed the songs. Then I came to Sri Lanka and performed the songs. And then after that, I went to Vietnam and then came back to India. So I performed the same songs in all these places, and I entertained audiences in these various cities. Now, if it is an online concert, then you're going to be putting out these songs to the whole world. And then after that, you cannot do another online concert for a while with those same songs, because those songs have become stale. And those songs are now available for everybody to watch, because after the online concert, it becomes a video on demand on those various streaming platforms. So basically, we have to figure out ways to innovate quicker, make songs quicker. Previously, we used to make an album every year. Now we have to make an album maybe every 1 or 2 months. Or we have to figure out ways to geo-block our concerts, where our concerts are available only to a specific country or a city. And then after that, we do another virtual concert where we geo-block the concert to a particular city, and then move on therein and there forth. Grateful and very honored that I'm an ambassador with the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. I'm their land ambassador, also an ambassador with UNESCO, MGIP. I'm their kindness ambassador, and also I'm a celebrity supporter with UNICEF. So we've been doing a lot of work together. I mean, that all these various organizations and me together to of course, to combat misinformation, which is extremely important to combat, and also to ensure that that people do not feel the stigma of the disease, because there is no such thing as being stigmatized with the disease. And if we stigmatize people with the disease, then what's going to happen is that people who probably potentially have the virus will probably not get themselves tested, just so that they do not feel stigmatized, and we are just ruining the whole process of fighting this particular disease. Now, a lot of people talk about, since I'm an environmentalist, I can speak about the environment. A lot of people talk about the silver lining behind the COVID pandemic, that that the environment has been enriched during these times, and there's less pollution, which I agree with absolutely. But I do not talk much about the silver lining, simply because for a person who has lost his or her parents, or for a person who has lost his or her children or siblings, it's for them, they obviously do not feel any kind of silver lining when it comes to this pandemic. And it's a little insensitive to constantly talk about the silver lining when so many people all over this world have died because of this particular virus. But at the same time, one cannot deny the fact that when it comes to the COVID pandemic, or rather, let's talk about climate change rather. When it comes to climate change, which we all know that is an existential crisis when it comes to the human race. Everybody talked about climate change as being something that could not be solved and could not be mitigated, simply because we humans do not have the capability of bringing about mass behavioral change, number one. And number two is that politicians do not have the capability of thinking beyond economics, and they do not have the capability of making strong leadership moves. But this COVID pandemic has absolutely proved that if people feel that there is imminent danger to themselves or imminent danger to their loved ones around them, then they are very much capable of bringing up behavioral change. Who could think that people would be okay with staying at home, not going to their offices, not going to the places of work, not flying in aeroplanes, and and also politicians not thinking about economics, but only thinking about the safety of their particular constituents and of their countries, and ordering these mass lockdowns and these large-scale quarantines. So this shows that the human race is capable of strong and sustained behavioral change in the face of danger. And I'm hoping that even after this COVID pandemic, that all of us take learnings from this COVID pandemic and apply this towards climate change, because climate change is a far, far bigger issue than this COVID pandemic. And as I said, it's an existential threat to the human species, and we need to work together to solve climate change. Music is a very, very powerful language, not just for communicating a message, but for retaining a message deep into the consciousness of a listener. Like, for example, the songs that we learn during our childhood are songs that we never forget for our whole lives. And the morals that we learn through those songs during our childhood are morals that stick with us forever. And of course, as we all know, big brands, like they spend huge amounts of money on developing, jingles and developing pieces of music to drive a message of sales. And so these big brands have understood the power of music so much so that they're ready to spend huge amounts of money to develop music for their brands so that they can drive a message of sales because they're always trying to sell something to their audiences. So music is that very powerful language for communicating a message, and that's my medium of communication. And I use music as pretty much a language to communicate to my audiences. And as you know, that the only kind of music that I make is music about sustainability, the environment, and positive social impact. And and I've been using music all this while. Now, I believe that we've got a lot of problems on our planet. Like, for example, we've got problems of, as I mentioned, about climate change. We've got problems of plastics pollution, air pollution, species extinction, deforestation, and of course, the non-environmental problems, which are gender equality, hunger, poverty, and stuff like that. But I believe that the biggest threat to our environment, the biggest threat to us as a species, is the constant thought that we have that somebody else will make a difference. We're always waiting for governments to make a difference. We're always waiting for intergovernmental bodies like the United Nations to make a difference. We're waiting for NGOs, for corporations to make a difference. When the truth is that the only way that we can make a difference is if we make a difference within our own lives, and we bring about behavioral change within our own lives, so that we bring about incremental change on our planet. And as Mahatma Gandhi said, the most cliched term that is used nowadays is what Mahatma Gandhi said, that that you have to be the change that you want to see. And it's cliched because it's absolutely true that if you want to bring about change in this world, then first you have to change yourself. And that is the only way that we'll be able to bring about mass change, and we'll be able to make this world a better place for everyone and everything. And I believe that music can be that powerful catalyst to empower people, that they themselves are the agents of change, and they themselves have got the absolute power to bring about change within their own lives. And only if they bring about change within their own lives that we can make a positive social impact within this world.